have you ever been on a quest? Especially a quest where you didn't even know it was a quest at the start. Well, I have, and here I am in southern Italy, Crotone, the home of Pythagoras, the Pythagorean Academy. It would be nearly 8 years ago now when in a meditation in my home in New Zealand, I actually met with the great man Pythagoras himself. Now, Einstein called him the father of both mathematics, which is what he's really known for, and music, which is when you study him, is what he really brought to the world. He was a true understander of sacred geometry, of frequency, and of the music of the spheres. Now, my journey's taken me to Egypt, studying his works, where he became a priest at Heliopolis and was initiated into the mystery schools there, through the Middle East to Greece several times, and now here to the bottom of Italy. As I said, it's been a journey of some 7 to 8 years, and when I first went on this quest, I actually didn't even know I was on a quest. I didn't know what it was I was searching for. I was just searching. But in my communications that I had during that time and my guidance that I got from different people, both on this side of the physical and on the other side, it ended up here. And it's all in my new book, Pythagoras and Me. And the outcome of what I found was entirely different to what I thought I was looking for. So that's the way of life. This is a phenomenal place here in southern Italy. I'm going to show you a little bit more about it, but I urge you to pick up a copy of Pythagoras and Me, and it may just open your mind because it's about the interaction of all things: quantum physics, sacred geometry, and people dynamics. That's what I learned. As you can see behind me, there's quite a lot of digging going on, and all over this peninsula there are archaeological sites where they're investigating actually something post-dating Pythagoras. Actually, it's a Roman village from the 1st century AD. Out of sheer wonderful luck while I was here, there's an archaeological dig going on, and whilst it's an Italian group and they don't speak a lot of English, you can even hear them yelling in Italian behind me, I did get to speak to one of the head ladies who's been here 6 years, unearthing both the Pythagorean temples, but mostly working on a temple from the Roman era, circa 1 AD, because of course the Romans built on top of everything when they came, and as you see here, even of recent times, Second World War, the Germans put up defence points and batteries around this peninsula as well. So archaeological dig, it's been great to actually get some insights into what they're doing here, what they've found, and also what they're truly looking for as well, which is evidence of our past and the way in which we used to live in the past. Behind me you'll see one of the columns of the original Pythagoras temple. It was built in the 5th century BC. This column that you can see, it's about 9 meters high on average. That would be about roughly at 8.65, I think I read. And there were 6 of them at the front of this, and you can imagine stone steps leading down to the ocean. It would have been pretty formidable. It's a huge site. It was sort of like the temple of Zeus, but built for the Pythagorean Academy, which is pretty cool. So they had this whole peninsula, which was just an amazing place, and definitely a sanctuary. You just feel really serene here as you're standing here. It's a shame there's nothing left. Most of the stones have been pilfered, in fact, by the church. Typical 16th century. They took it into town, made the bishop's house out of it, and fortified the walls of the port as well at that same time. So this is the only standing column, Doric column, that's left, one of 6 that held up an amazing roof in the front of the temple. Hey, I made it to the top of the Pythagorean Museum here in Crotone, and This thing, there's not really a lot here. In fact, you can't Google it. I really did have to research to find this place. It looks like it's just open. It seems to be attracting the sacred geometry part of what Pythagoras did, and there's some interesting depictions there of pi and of the sacred triangle that he developed. And mostly, in fact, also I've noticed the flower of life, which I'm going to show you in a minute. It's very clearly represented from here, and it's actually a center point of the whole museum as well. So it's fascinating that even though his work didn't lead me to the flower of life, it's what a lot of his work was based on, and here it is very represented at the museum itself. This beautiful representation of the tree of life and the flower of life is even better because it's actually based on Pythagoras' wonderful triangle there. And as you can see it, that shape, which is so dominant in anybody who studied Pythagoras, is within this picture depicting the flower and tree of life. The magic of numbers, as you see behind me and all around me, I'm surrounded by Pythagoras and his numbers. This whole park, in fact, as you can see, it's quite huge. That's about not even half of it, is actually dedicated to Pythagoras here in Crotone. And on top of the hill you have the museum. Let's see if we can get it in the back of the shot. Yep, it's a massive building. It looks like it was only just completed, and I can tell you there is absolutely nothing inside except for 4 of the 5 Platonic solids hanging from the roof, and apart from that, a picture or 2 of Pythagoras. And so that whole building, which by my standards would have cost $5 million or something like that, probably euro here, and this whole park donated and generated by Pythagoras' thoughts for the universe, but it's unsure what place it has right at the moment in the modern world, because the rest of Crotone, and actually out at his academy, he's almost not mentioned. So it's pretty fascinating. What you're looking at here is in fact the spiral. It's in fact the sacred geometry, and it's the circle, that the spiral that actually comes out of the central piece there and spirals out like in all mathematical diagrams. And this is actually what most of the ancient temples, the philosophy was built on, was these shapes and their relationships here. A better example is actually in these stand-up things here, where, as you can see, again, this shape as it goes out and out creates the spiral, which becomes the whole. The spiral behind me is a very important part of the whole laws, if you like, of what Pythagoras saw, because he saw everything as a spiral. Generating some noise behind me, how dare you. And it's so beautiful because actually what's written on this, even though everything in this park is in Italian, even I can read the sign at the end there that says gay. So the modern world meets the Pythagorean world. The spiral is the ascension of the soul through, in this case, very interesting, they've picked 5 journeys of that soul. And that's very like the Kabbalah as well, which is the 5 journeys there, which is the 4 worlds and also the 5th world, which they call the world of Adam in the Kabbalah, which is really the perfect place. So this is about the generation of your soul. It's about understanding yourself at various different levels as we spiral on our journey through life this time. Thanks, Pythagoras. It's a nice little insight. So nice, in fact, that alarm bells are ringing to wake you up and go, which one of these spirals are you on at the moment in your life? Let's hope that's not an ambulance coming to get you. I nearly walked past this place because of all the graffiti, obviously, and it's not the best place, but this is an amazing representation, and I think a true sort of slap in the cheek to anybody who's an occultist and who really reads the wrong things into these things, because on the ground below is one of the most sacred ancient objects. Egyptian, Chinese, Sumerian, and very, very much awed by Pythagoras as well. And it is, of course, the Pentacle. And the beautiful thing about this pentacle, I'll see if I can get it in the shot, is it's basically a star within a star within a star. If you think it doesn't work in the modern times, then see if this reminds you of a description of the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. As you look at the inner workings of this, you'll see it's an exact representation of one of the halls of power of modern day USA. The Pentacle, still as much a sacred number, a sacred geometry then as is now. What we have here in all parts of this part of the park are the 5 Platonic solids, but they're all represented as different little pieces of sculpture really within a nice part of the park, which has this lovely fountain over here and walkway down to it. These little fellows behind me, it took me a little while to work them out, but they'll be representing the Fibonacci sequence. And everything seems to work in the geometry of that and the mathematics of it, which I've just spent like a minute trying to work out. But again, representative of what we see in the natural world and representative of the spiral of life seen in seashells, snails, and many, many other things in our world. This journey to discover more about Pythagoras' ancient teachings has led me into some really interesting places around the world, and I think with this leg of the journey sort of solid and finished, then I really couldn't think of a more perfect place, because this is a whole park dedicated to Pythagoras, yet the whole place is basically dying, like this nice spiral here that we can see right there behind us, which is meant to be a waterfall, is just decrepit. Behind me I found on the back of the spiral there, nice set of genitalia, just in case anybody wants to see those, and everything around here is decrepit, yet there's still 4 staff that I can see and a rampant dog that keeps chasing me, and they just seem to be cutting and keeping the grass down. So often ancient wisdom is lost, and I think leading past 2012 and into the next 7 years of the integration of consciousness on this planet, this is the time where we're going to have to protect our ancient wisdom, because this is the time when a lot of things are going to be coming to try and disturb it, and when they do, it may disappear forever. Yet in here is some incredible wisdom that can be applied in every facet of modern life.